SB.6.9.49 Vedanta Sangha Prabhupada ki Jai Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Jai Namacharya Thakur ki Jai Prem se gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudha Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopavinath Shyamavanda Radha Kundiran Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Madhutam Ki Jai Jannapuri Dham Ki Jai Brahmamai Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samavita Bhakta Devi Ki Jai Gauda Pramanandi all glories to the Son of the Son, glories to the Son of the Son, glory to the Lord, to the Son, glory to Shri Shri Gauradesh. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Nitai ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Gustaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravai Pacharya Nirvishesha Sundavari Pashtachari Satarine. So we continue with the Transcendental Diary of Hari Swami Prabhu. And we continue hearing Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. Prabhupada's reappointment of Hansa Dutta Swami as DBC for Germany has brought an instant reaction from the devotees there. A telegram came from a German temple president today asking Prabhupada not to send him back. Oh, das ist falsch hier. Soll ich da weiterlesen? Ich habe gestern schon gelesen.
Schon länger, ja. Das hast du
Ja?
schon mal gelesen.
Okay.
Ein gutes Thema.
Gutes Thema? Okay. Aktuelles Thema. Because of the controversy, Prabhupada spoke to Hansa Dutta this evening. He said it was up to him and whether he went back or not. Hansa Dutta, however, asked Prabhupada to decide. He wants to do whatever Prabhupada thinks best, although his inclination is to remain in India. He does not think it will be very successful if he returns to Germany. Surprisingly, a letter arrived today from Madhudvisa Prabhu. That's something amazing. That's good. After the temple darshan, in the evening, there is always a big kirtan during Arti, especially with Lokanath Maharaj and his men here. As are extremely enthusiastic chanters. However, they have developed a style of kirtan that is little different from the ISKCON norm. When the kirtan reaches the climax, they gather around a group and started singing Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Haribol. They had completely carried away with this chanting Haribol. Sometimes they go on for 5 or 10 minutes singing back and forth, Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Sometimes it even goes on longer than the chanting of the Maha Mantra. Some devotees are not happy about it, although no one can fault their enthusiasm. Hari Swami objects to it quite strongly, and thus in the evening he went into the garden to ask Prabhupada's opinion. Since we have never heard Srila Prabhupada sing this mantra, we never hear Prabhupada chant Haribol. Okay. Since we have never heard Prabhupada sing this mantra, Harikesh had doubts it was actually a bona fide practice. Prabhupada had stopped Lokanath's kirtan at the Pandal in Delhi, but at this time he gave no reason why. Now this evening, Prabhupada, although not too upset by it, made it clear that such chanting was not approved by him. Huh? Interesting. He told us that we should mainly chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He said, Nitai Gaura Haribol is alright, because they are bona fide names of the Lord. But the real point is that we should strictly follow only what the acharyas have given. This is the process. He said that the acharyas only chant all 5 names of the Panchatattva, not just 2. So, although there is no offense in chanting names of Gaura Nitai, if we deviate and chant our own made-up mantras, then this is Gaurora Avagya, or disobeying the order of the spiritual master and the line of acharyas. To make advancement in spiritual life, one must have always followed the line of the acharya. we referred to the, he referred to the ashram at the back of our temple where they sing every morning, Nitai Gauradesh Shyama Japa Hare Krishna Hare Rama. He said that isn't offensive because it is a deviation from the line of acharyas. Yes, and I remember one thing also. Prabhupada started when he came to the West, he always said chanting, he was always adding something to the Panchatattva mantra. So you see Krishna. Bhajan. And then at one point, Prabhupada heard the neighbors also chanting this. And maybe it was even the same ashram, or the neighboring ashram. And he didn't want to chant it anymore. He said, instead of chanting Bhaja Krishna Chaitanya, Jaya Sri Chaitanya. This is okay. Yeah, and in the beginning we were chanting this. Bhaja Sri Krishna, follow Sri Radha. So he discovered that the neighbors, and the neighbors were not automatically in our line. Vrindavan, when you go to Vrindavan, there's so many things in chanting. And last time I was in Vrindavan, I was surprised. When you go down the Bhaktivedanta Road, Prabhupada's place, to the Loi Bazaar, there was a temple on the right side. They had a murti for Prabhupada there. A murti of Srila Prabhupada. Behind, glass, big windows. And I asked, what is this? Is ISKCON? They told me no. I don't know, I haven't been there for some time, so I don't know if it's still there. Anyway, so Prabhupada was, of course, another thing also was, when we used to go to Vrindavan the first times, the temple, first of all, the temple was in construction, Krishna Balaram temple, and we always had to stay in a full ashram or somewhere else. And so when we walk into the temple, on the left side of the road, there was a temple where they were chanting Sita Ram without end. 24 hours they were chanting. And one time we came there by there, and one of the kirtaniyas came out to take a little snap, and he was smoking a bidi. So we were surprised. How is this in Vrindavan? And then later on, as we continue to go to Mayapur and also Vrindavan, we noticed that things were actually not exactly in line with our disciplic succession. I told you the other day, in the beginning we sometimes thought, well, in India there must be many Prabhupads. But then when we started to go to India, we noticed, oh, even in India, Prabhupada is very, very special. Anyway, any questions regarding this? Comments? Willst du einen Kommentar machen dazu?
Ich habe eine Frage, du musst ein bisschen überlegen. Du musst überlegen, ich habe eine Frage, du musst überlegen noch.
Ja, soll ich warten?
Ich wollte jetzt fragen, also ist es jetzt okay, wenn wir Nitai Haribol singen oder nicht? Weil wir singen ja meistens nach dem Nitai Haribol.
Der hat gerade, ich war nicht da, leider konnte ich nicht zum Nisinga Chaturasila, in Hartland. Ich hatte andere Sachen zu tun. Aber ich habe dann ganz kurz mal ein bisschen die Klasse so durchgecheckt, die dir gegeben wurden. Und da war eine Klasse von Jayadvaita Maharaj, über Kirtan-Regeln. Habt ihr das gesehen oder gehört?
Auf Englisch vielleicht, wenn du noch nicht.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I couldn't go down to the Nisinga Chaturasila this time. I had other things to do. But I started hearing some of the classes that were given there. And at one point there was also a presentation of Jayadvaita Maharaj about the Kirtan rules. And actually these Kirtan rules were mostly coming from Prabhupada. Prabhupada taught us things. I remember Harikish told us, at one point he was a temple president of Vrindavan. And Prabhupada was training him, because he was there. And one day a member of the Gaudiya Math came, and he started chanting in the temple. And I don't remember what he was chanting, but immediately Prabhupada called Harikish and told him, we don't chant this here, tell him to stop. And Harikish was, how can I stop? He's a senior Vaishnava, go and stop him. We don't chant this here. And Harikish also wrote an article or even little more text about Kirtan rules that Prabhupada taught him.
It's a little book.
Yeah?
It's a little book.
Little book, yeah, right. Little book about Kirtan rules. At the beginning, this was in ISKCON, it was seen as a little, kind of part of Harikish's fanatism. But then later on, it kind of sunk in. It was read everywhere. Anyway, so Advaita Maharaj made pretty heavy statements that we should chant so many other things. Like we heard here also, they were chanting Hari Bol, and hardly any Hare Krishna. And sometimes, when I travel, sometimes I visit different temples, especially over there in South America. I also have to tell them. And they stop chanting with samsara, then Nama Om, Krishna Chaitanya, and they sing 5 minutes kirtan, and then they start singing about the names of the deities 1,000 times, and this and that, and Hari Bol, Nityananda, go, Hari Bol, and all this. And like Prabhupada mentioned here, our most important mantra is Hare Krishna. This is the most important mantra. And Prabhupada also said, before chanting Hare Krishna, and even before starting our rounds, we should always chant the Panchatattva mantra. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Gauradesh. And Prabhupada explains that actually this mantra is even more powerful than the Hare Krishna mantra. And I remember there was one devotee who was surprised, and he asked Prabhupada, but why don't we chant Panchatattva? Prabhupada said, no, we follow in line. We follow in the line. Even though this is declared as more important, we should follow the instructions or the line of our acharyas and chant Hare Krishna. So hast du inzwischen?
When we chant Mangalartik, we also chant, we finish Samsaradava, Loka, and then we chant Namo Vishnu Padaya. This is also Prabhupada also never chanted the name of his guru.
Yeah.
So just this
was also a point of discussion many years back. Yeah, Prabhupada never chanted that. Prabhupada only chanted Sri Krishna Chaitanya and then Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Except the Guru Puja is for Prabhupada, so it's different.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so tomorrow.
So
Took a long time to come to that question, huh?
No, because before I did not chant, then some temples they say, there's a standard here, we chant Namo Vishnu Padaya. So some temples are angry if you don't chant.
Yes. And this is the problem. When they had this committee, investigating what Kirtan rules, and ultimately they also found a book, there was a book, Kirtan rules. This was also under the direction of the GBC at that time. And then when they started presenting this book, there was so much opposition. So then the GBC decided, these are not rules, these are suggestions. These are suggestions. One of the rules also is that we only chant Hare Krishna, I don't see anything at the end.
Yes.
And devotees couldn't accept it. That's why the GBC had to turn this into suggestions and not laws. Okay? Ja, bitte.
Weil früher, also in den 90ern, haben wir nie Gurudev gesungen. Am Ende singen jetzt die Devotees immer Jaya Prabhupada und dann Jai Gurudeva. Was ist damit jetzt? Weil ich finde das auch.
Das ist auch etwas, was Maharaj verkündet hat. This is also something. Hast du in Deutsch gefragt oder in Englisch?
Sorry, I asked in German, but you are supposed to answer in English. Yeah. Sorry. I'm confusing you. Sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, Gurudev. There's a somewhere, and then it's a quote of that Vedan verse, because this book is full of quotes. It's not something that he came to, you know. Even though he also read an article many years back, not many years back, that he said the kirtan shouldn't be so loud. And he is explaining that he would say, because we're losing our, how you say?
Hearing.
Our hearing. Yeah, we're losing our hearing. And he gave himself as an example. You know?
What are we losing?
Hearing, sense of hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Too loud.
It shouldn't be too loud because we're losing our ability to hear. And he gave this example of himself, especially the big kartas. Chaitanya Maharaj loved these huge kartas. Not even that, not this size. We have this. Anyway, maybe I shouldn't have said that. So, yeah, this is also, he had many quotes in that book. Actually, I wanted to get one of these books, but until now it was not possible. Because it's full of quotes about Prabhupada. Yeah, Gurudev. Yeah. That's the one that Prabhupada also mentioned. And Prabhupada heard that. Yeah. Especially when you visit temples where hardly any senior devotees are visiting. You know, they haven't introduced so many things. You know. That's why Srila Prabhupada wanted the GBC to travel from temple to temple and see that everything was done right. Prabhupada established the GBC like the watchdog of ISKCON. Yeah. Anyway, those places where there are hardly any, you know, visits of senior devotees, they tend to develop their own styles, their own conceptions. Okay. Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
That's okay, so? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we're reading the 49th verse, right? 940?
Yeah.
Naveda Kripana Shreya
Naveda Kripana Shreya.
Atmano Gunavastudrik
Atmano Gunavastudrik.
Kasyatan Nichato Yache
Tasyata Nichato Yache.
Yadi Sopi Tata Vidaha
Yadi Shopi Tata Vidaha.
Naveda Kripana Shreya
Naveda Kripana Shreya.
Atmano Gunavastudrik
Atmano Gunavastudrik.
Kasyatan Nichato Yachet
Tasyata Nichato Yache.
Yadi Sopi Tata Vidaha
Yadi Shopi Tata Vidaha.
Naveda Kripana Shreya.
Naveda Kripana Shreya
Atmano Gunavastudrik.
Atmano Gunavastudrik
Tasyata Nichato Yache.
Tasyata Nichato Yachet
Yadi Sopi Tata Vidaha.
Yadi Sopi Tata Vidaha
Naveda Kripana Shreya.
Naveda Kripana Shreya
Atmana Gunavastudrik.
Atmano Gunavastudrik
Tasyata Nichato Yache.
Tasyata Nichato Yachet
Yadi Sopi Tata Vidaha.
Yadi Sopi Tata Vidaha
Naveda Kripana Shreya.
Naveda Kripana Shreya.
Atmano Gunavastudrik.
Atmano Gunavastudrik.
Tasyata Nichato Yache.
Tasyata Nichato Yache.
Yadi Sopi Tata Vidaha.
Yadi Sopi Tata Vidaha.
Naveda Kripana Shreya.
Naveda Kripana Shreya.
Atmano
Atmana Guna Vastudrik,
Tasata Nichatoya Chet,
Yati Sodhi Tatavidaha,
Not
Not
Veda
Veda,
knows Kripana,
Kripana,
a miserly living entity. Shreya,
Shreya,
the ultimate necessity. Atmana,
Atmana,
of the soul.
of the soul.
Gunavastudrik, who's attracted to the creation of the modes of material nature.
Who's attracted by the creation of the modes of material nature.
Tasya,
Tasya,
of him.
of him.
Tan,
Tan,
things created by the material energy.
things created by the material energy.
Ichata,
Ichata,
desiring.
desiring.
Yachet,
Yachet,
one bestows.
One bestows.
Yadi,
Yadi,
if.
if.
Saapi,
Sahabi,
he also.
he also.
Tatavida,
Atavidaha,
of the kind of foolish Kripana who does not know the real self-interest.
a foolish Kripana who does not know his real self-interest.
Is it there?
Yeah.
Translation of the verse. Those who drink material assets, those who think material assets to be everything or to be the ultimate goal of life are called misers, Kripanas. They do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. Moreover, if one awards that which is desired by such fools, he must also be considered foolish. Purport. There are two classes of men, namely the Kripana and the Brahmana. A Brahmana is one who knows Brahman, the absolute truth, and who thus knows his real interest. A Kripana, however, is one who has a material, bodily concept of life, not knowing how to utilize his human or demigod life. A Kripana is attracted by things created by the material modes of nature. The Kripanas who always desire material benefits are foolish, whereas Brahmanas who always desire spiritual benefits are intelligent. If a Kripana, not knowing his self-interest, foolishly asks for something material, one who awards it to him is also foolish. Krishna, however, is not a foolish person. He is supremely intelligent. If someone comes to Krishna asking for material benefits, Krishna does not award him the material things he desires. Instead, the Lord gives him intelligence so that he will forget his material desires and become attached to the Lord's lotus feet. In such cases, although the Kripana offers prayers to Lord Krishna for material things, the Lord takes away whatever material possessions the Kripana has and gives him the sense to become a devotee. As stated by the Lord in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22:39. Ami Vidya Evoke Vishayakena Deva Svacharanam Vitaliya Vishaya Budaiva. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. If one sincerely prays to God for material possessions in exchange for devotional service, the Lord, who is not foolish like such an unintelligent devotee, shows him special favor by taking away whatever material possessions he has, and gradually giving him the intelligence to be satisfied only by rendering service to his lotus feet. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments in this regard that if a foolish child requests his mother to give him poison, the mother, being intelligent, would certainly not give him poison, even though he requests it. A materialist does not know that to accept material possessions means to accept poison, or the repetition of birth and death. An intelligent person, a Brahmana, aspires for liberation from material bondage. That is the real self-interest of a human being. Naveda kipana shreya atmanoguna vastutrik kasyatan nichato yachet yadisipe tatavidaha. Those who think material assets to be everything, or to be the ultimate goal of life, are called misers, kripanas. They do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. Moreover, if one awards that which is desired for such fools, he must also be considered foolish. So this is a verse in the line of verses where the demigods have prayed to Krishna. And it was also explained yet by Akshara that that this is not actually pure. Even though they are devotees, but the demigods are Sakama devotees, Vaishnavas. That means everything they do, when they serve Krishna, they always have their own self-interest. And that's why Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that the demigods are souls who have very, especially he referred it to Brahma, that Brahma had a very strong desire to control and to organize. But at the same time, very, very advanced devotee. So Krishna gave him the post of Brahma. Anyway, so these demigods undoubtedly are devotees in his service. They're his representatives, or in the name of the Lord, they're managing everything within the universe. We heard that there are more than 30 million demigods. And I remember also it says that different functions of our body also under the control of different demigods. Every detail is under the control of the demigod. Anyway, so now in the end, after presenting all these prayers of the demigods to save them from Ridrasura, from the influence of this big demon, or the control of this big demon, Krishna is giving a conclusion or explanation. It's a very, very nice explanation. He says that actually, those who are not pure and desiring material things, they're just desiring poison. Poison. Prabhupada, in the end of the purport, he explains that just like the mother, is very concerned about the child, even though the child does things or desires things that are completely useless. Especially, he mentioned even poison. The child wants poison. Of course, the mother doesn't give him the poison. But I also remember that Prabhupada mentioned once that sometimes the children don't like to take the medicine that they're supposed to take. And the mother puts it within the laddu. Within the laddu. And the child starts eating, and when it's already going down, and notice, this was a medicine also. Now it's too late. In the same way, we should also present Krishna consciousness in such a way that it is attractive. We cannot always present the details which might be shocking people or something. But we should present the nice things, and then when they come, they introduce to more profound, deeper knowledge and more details. Just like Prabhupada many times said, our process consists in chanting, dancing, and taking prasad. And I remember also, sometimes when people started asking weird questions to Srila Prabhupada after class, sometimes Prabhupada said, chant, kirtan, kirtan for a while. And then again questions. And maybe even he said it again. Anyway, so it's not so easy, to accept everything. What Krishna consciousness or Krishna speaking so harshly here in this verse. That's why we should start simple, nicely. We should be introduced by devotees, well-wishing devotees, merciful devotees, and then gradually, we are introduced to more and more serious things. Just like there's a nice in the Bhagavad Gita. Anyway, the translation is that after many, many births and death, in the end, one achieves, by the grace of the Lord, one achieves a human form of life. And if one actually gets proper knowledge, Krishna says, then one surrenders to Krishna, to Vasudeva, the cause of all causes. Knowing Krishna to be the cause of all causes. And then the end of the verse says, and such a great soul is very rarely to be found. Samahatma Sudodava. So this is something very exceptional, especially in this age of Kali Yuga. People are giving up more and more what is religion. Well, I know places where they're still pretty determined in their religious duties. But in general, in Kali Yuga, this is getting lost more and more as people become more and more materialist and creating their hellish future. Anyway, so this is what Krishna is explaining, and Narayan is explaining to the demigods. And he describes, actually he mentioned two terms here. Prabhupada mentioned in the third poem. Kripana and Brahmana. Kripana. Prabhupada says Kripana refers to a miser. A miser. Just like typical miser is a person who has a lot of money and he keeps his money under his oder seine Matratze. Under
Mattress.
Huh?
Mattress.
Yeah, mattress. And lives a very, very poor life. Everyone thinks he's poor. And then when he dies, all of a sudden they discovered such a big amount of dollar bills, or euro bills under his mattress. So, in the same way, miser, the Bible says, is the opposite to the Brahmana. The Brahmana is utilizing his treasure that he actually acquired by acquiring the human form of life. This is to understand Brahman, the absolute truth, to revive our eternal relationship with Krishna, pick up again our spiritual activities, and starting dovetail everything around devotional service. This is not mine, this is Krishna's. The money I have is Krishna's. It's Lakshmi. It's Lakshmi, the eternal concept of Krishna. And not only Lakshmi, everything. Just like we mentioned many times, our temples. This temple was not built with the idea to have a church here. Actually, when we moved in here, there were many more apartments. For example, this was 2 rooms here. This was not 1 room. And there were a lot of people living here. I remember when we came in the first time, the devotees had only taken little part. And they're trying to get rid of the people who were living here. I remember there was a Turkish family here with a lot of children. And it took quite some time until we took over the whole thing. And in the beginning they had the temple, the deities, and the temple was on the attic, on the top floor. where the ladies' ashram is now. Yeah, I remember when we visited here, we always had a program on the top of the building. Anyway, then Rajendra Kumar was inspired to make his temple here, you know, this whole thing. And in the way he became so much inspired here that he didn't want to stop. You know, he wanted to take it better and better, and more detail, giving him more and more details. And the devotees had to force him to stop. No, anyway, so now it's a different building. Now it has become a place of pilgrimage. They even come from China to take shelter here. They come from all over the world. We have a lot of devotees from Croatia and Russia and where is it? The war right now? Ukraine. So many people from this we see everywhere. I remember in the beginning when we started our movement in Germany also, they were not just Germans. They were, or when I went down to München to open a temple, the first devotees we had were an Italian, Durgama, he's still there. When you go to Mayapur, he's still there. Then there was a French devotee. Then there was a German couple. But anyway, so from the beginning we had so many nations here, devotees from different nations. Anyway, so and we kind of, when you become a devotee, you kind of transcend all these bodily or temporal designations. Anyway, so this, like Krishna says here, it's a great opportunity. This human form of life is very rarely achieved. There's so many more different life forms, and the human forms are very rare. And amongst the human forms, there's actually normally so little, so few people who actually take this real purpose of life to heart and become devotees, practice devotional service. So this is unfortunate, and to help us to surpass or still become Krishna God conscious. Even the Lord comes to present a very, very simple process to us. That's why it says Harinama, 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 Kevalam, Kadavana, Stevana, Stevana, Stevana. There's no other process. There's no other progress than the chanting of the holy name, the chanting and the chanting. It's repeated 3 times. Sometimes when things are repeated in the Shastra, it is there to emphasize. The tone is important. So, of course, the demigods were in much anxiety because Vikasura had appeared. And like we heard yesterday, Akshara was telling us a little more about the story. And Vitasura, actually he was a devotee, even though he was in the body of a demon. He was born in demon environment. Because, why was this? Because he was cursed by Parvati, by Shiva's wife. She was. Because it was, I remember the king, what is the name of the king? Chitraketu, the story goes, I mean we heard it so many times now. But anyway, tell it again. So Chitraketu was a very, very, I say, powerful king. But he couldn't have a child. And in the Vedic tradition, it's considered very important to have children, especially a son, the eldest son, who continues the family tradition after father's gone, whatever. And he also protects the mother. In the Vedic way, it was not that the children would leave the home. No, even when they got married, they continued living with their parents. And you can see it. We traveled to South India at one point, many years back, and we went and visited by many houses, many grihastas, many householders, and we were astounded. What is surprised? What a surprise! How big these families were, and they're still living together. Father, mother, and aunt, and all these living together. And when they started serving us, the whole family would appear. Especially when they started serving prasad to the sannyasis. Everyone wanted to serve the sannyasis. The children, the grandparents who could hardly walk would come and serve. And serve with so much enthusiasm that sometimes it was very difficult to say no. That we were full. You have the same experience, right? In India. India's like that. They're how you say, Gastfreundschaft. What is that? Gastfreundschaft?
Hospitality.
Their hospitality is really very developed. The whole aspect of service. In Vedic culture, service was a very important item. From the very beginning, children were trained to serve others like this. Anyway, so when they served, it was difficult to say no. Like we would go and still they would go under the hands and serve you something. Isn't it? And they would love it, to see you eating what they had prepared. And also because we were two sannyasis, Guru Prasad Maharaj and me, so they also, the first person who would ever always be served were we. And it started when we went to their homes. They first of all set us somewhere, elevated, and they started washing our feet. And the whole family took part. Everyone wanted to throw water on your feet of the sannyasis. And then they threw it at everyone. Everyone, Anyway, so service. I mentioned that once before. Sorry for repeating so many things. But when we started flying to India, we usually went, we went always with Aeroflot, because it was the cheapest. We had to stop in Moscow and then stay in a hotel and then continue to India. But then we started using Air India. And Air India is very nicely decorated, also outside, inside. The stewardesses are all in sari. Not anymore, I heard. Anyway. Yeah, still? No. Wow. No, in saris. And they were serving so nicely. And I mentioned when, in comparison to Panama at that time, these stewards and all these service persons, they were puffed up, and you could see how they were trained to smile. Their smile was so artificial, Anyway, so we started talking about this, how much service, natural service attitude people had in India. Anyway, so service is the most important, and that's what we normally have to. Vedic culture taught us this from the very beginning. I don't know if it's Chandrakya who said that. Even if you're the most poor man, when you receive a guest that appears unnoticed, unannounced, you still have to receive him nicely. You have to at least offer him a glass of water and a place to sit. And if you don't have anything, at least a straw mat to sit. And then receive him with nice words. And Prabhupada mentioned that even if the enemy, your biggest enemy comes to the home, you have to receive him very nicely. So that actually he forgets that he's in the house of his enemy. And I heard this is also the reason why so many invasions went in. Because actually they were receiving them very nicely. Like the British. They received them so nicely, so they just took over. They declared India a colony after some time. Anyway, so this service attitude is very important. And Prabhupada taught us this. Now, there's a description in the Lilamrita. by Satsvarup Maharaj, how Prabhupada trained his devotees to receive the guests properly, who would come to see him. There was, I think it was in Vrindavan, if I read, Prabhupada was assuring that when guests came to see him, they had a proper place to sit, and he taught the devotees how to put in his room, cover everything with white cloths. And of course they would sit on the floor when they were Indians, it was natural. And they put them in Holland, what is
Bolster.
Huh?
They call it bolsters.
Yeah, whatever, big things you can lean on, or maybe even sit on or something like that. Yeah. And Prabhupada was very, very keen to have everything extremely clean. It's so clean. Sometimes when Prabhupada would walk out of Vrindavan or go to the temple or go to the temple, wanted to see how devotees were living. I remember when we went to India the first time in '74. I think there was the first festival, and Mayapur festival. So the building, the Lotus building, was not. Now there are many more buildings, but this was the first big building that was created. No, actually there was also the Dome building for all the guests, the devotees who were there. Anyway, so. Power to walk around and detect dirt, and he said, why isn't it not clean? Why is this not clean? You have to learn how to clean properly. And when we went the first time, it was a very special thing. The building was not finished yet. It's a building where Prabhupada's room is. Is this a Lotus building? Yeah, Lotus building. First floor is Prabhupada's room, or 2 rooms he has. Anyway, so, sorry, what was the point?
Cleanliness.
Yeah, cleanliness, yeah. Anyway, so, there was also he has a very nice Chaitanya Murti there, in his bedroom. But I don't remember the other point. When you get old, things are not so easy to remember anymore. But if Krishna wants, he wants me to remember. Anyway, so Prabhupada, the first time we went there, so thank you, Krishna. So the first time we went, the top floor, the floor also, Prabhupada's floor was actually ready, but above it. Anyway, so, and we had no proper rooms yet. And then we all slept in the Baustelle. What is that? In the Baustelle in English?
Construction.
Yeah, in the construction place. Everything dirty, and Prabhupada came up, and most of us, we all sick with diarrhea at that time. We were not so careful at that time. Anyways. And everyone was laying there. I remember Bhagavan was also laying there on the floor like that, and Prabhupada came and asked him what's wrong. And then later on Prabhupada said that actually they became sick because they didn't do anything. They have to be active, doing service. Anyway, so only Prabhupada could speak like that. Because he was our supreme authority. He was Prabhupada. Anyway, so at that time also, when we went down, when we took shower in the morning, it was a custom that everyone had to has his own aimer. What is that? Bak. Everyone had to have his own bak, and we have to have 2 gamchas. One to dry ourselves and one to cover ourselves. And then we had to go out on the field. And on the field they had put some walls of bamboo, bamboo sticks like that. And to defecate, how's it like? No? To defecate, they had put big holes there. And they had put some things to, some bretter, you understand, of wood there. Anyway, so it was all new, But we were fortunate because we were young. When you have a young body, you're more flexible. You're ready to learn so many things. Yeah, that was the big advantage in the beginning. All Prabhupada's disciples were all young. And they were accepting so many different conditions, so much austerity was there, and we loved the austerity. I remember here in Heidelberg, we had a very tiny temple. Prito was the temple president, and it was very small, but still Hans Ruder would call us there, or from the different temples. Sometimes we all had meetings with our leader, with our GDC. And it was so packed up. I remember we were sleeping on the stairs, we were sleeping in the kitchen under the sink, and everyone. And we loved it. It was not something that we were kind of, lamenting about. We loved it. And that's why Prabhupada many times said that actually, India is a place of tapasya. Life is meant for tapasya. Yes. Anyway, so tapasya is a process. Actually, our tapasya is very mild, compared to the tapasya that people would execute in former times. Just like, of course, like, for example, we have Mangalati in the morning. That's a tapasya. Actually, our mind says, nobody sees you, let's continue. And that's why Prabhupada also insisted that we have association, that we live in ashrams, that we live all together. Prabhupada was even letting the householders, sometimes even with their child, live in the temple, to get us properly trained. And it wasn't after some time that actually the grihastha or devotees started getting married and started living outside. But in the beginning, everyone's living together. Anyway, so we also, when everyone went out, like when we started in Hamburg, our daily program was Harinam. Everyone would go in Harinam. In the morning until midday, then we come back to the temple, take a little prasad, and if necessary, a little rest, and then again go on Harinam. And on Saturdays, we go out 3 times. We go to Reeperbahn in Hamburg. That was a place where everyone was at night. Anyway. Yeah, so then, and we actually had no books. We only had Back to God, Zurück zur Gottheit, Back to Godhead. And they were not colored and anything like that. Wie nannte sich auch diese Maschine, wenn man das verdoppelte, was man da hatte? Ja, Kopiergerät. The pages were printed at Kopiergerät. And we were very enthusiastic to go out and Prabhupada was very interested to hear the result of the distribution of the magazine. Anyway, so this is very, very different because, as I mentioned many times, because we were all very young and we loved it. Also, Prabhupada said once that actually children, when they are educated strictly, they start to love it. Prabhupada said, like a child, of course not in Germany, but in India, he said that the little boys would sleep on the marble floor, on the stone, and they enjoyed it, to sleep there. Of course, now we don't enjoy it so much anymore. But Prabhupada mentioned this was, and the children would learn tapasya playing. It was a kind of play for them. And so they were trained in this way. Anyway, so we are lucky to have met Srila Prabhupada. And we're supposed to know Prabhupada, everyone. Hear about Srila Prabhupada. Know how Prabhupada wanted things originally. It's very important to hear from Prabhupada directly. That's why I introduced here this lecture, this reading from the Nectar of Harisada, Transcendental Nectar of Harisada. Actually, Dara once, I was spoken with Dara once, and no, it was a letter I think that she wrote me. And she said that I thought that how can we know Srila Prabhupada more? And then she mentioned, but now we can know more about Prabhupada because we're hearing regularly from the Transcendental Diary. So I think we're coming to an end here. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yeah, Billy.
You mentioned that we're being controlled by the demigods at the beginning of the lecture. Yeah. What are some of our actions that are not in control by them, that we can say, I am in control of what I'm doing? It seems that if they control how we blink.
Well, they don't control our will. Our will not. We have a certain independence. We decide. Actually, Prabhupada mentioned once our free will only consists in surrender, accept Krishna or not accept Krishna. And everything else is done. Like we heard, everything is done here under the influence of the modes of nature. Yeah. We want to do something. And we decide to eat. But we don't eat anything. Well, we eat what we like. And depending on the mode, we feel attracted to this kind of food and that kind of food. And also association also. But the demigods are giving the facilities to do all this. You understand? What do you think?
I have a question. You said in the very beginning of your talk that we should introduce Krishna consciousness not immediately, strictly, but at some ease.
Yeah.
So people can easily understand, they cannot accept everything in the beginning. And then on the other hand, we also spoke about strict, even how to sing properly, Prabhupada's rules. So how do you adjust these two to don't be like, because as soon as you make it a little bit, as we call it, watered down, there's some criticism going on. But on the other hand, if you want to introduce to the mass of people, you have to have some kind of watered down.
You have to use your intelligence properly. Intelligence means discrimination. How to act according to time, place and circumstances. Just like the Sankirtan devotees. I remember when we started Sankirtan, going with books on the street, we had so many difficulties. Then Hans Duda gave us a piece of paper saying, mentioning what we had to say. We started reading it to people. And often people wanted to see what was written there. I remember we also we went to Finland. There was no temple at that time yet. Because we had to collect for our program in Poland and the communist countries. It was pretty expensive. So we used to go, and somebody had written us a paper also in Finnish. I still remember how part of the mantra. Minä olen munki. We started. Minä olen means I'm a monk. And we would read it, and people wanted to see, but because it was not written as they write it, but phonetic, how we heard it, they couldn't read it. And then, of course, we started learning something else, some more. We kind of checked, learned how to deal with the Finnish people. For example, we learned that we went from door to door, distributing. Oh God, it's a fortune at that time. The record made by George Harrison in London. Anyway, so we learned how not to go on Saturday to the houses, because that is their sauna day. How you say? And they would open the door naked. Of course, here it's a different mentality in Finland. Like weekend means sauna. And also not go to the the parks. distribute books, because they were full of alcoholics at that time in Finland. They have the fame that they're very alcoholics. And the alcoholics were dressed very nicely. They got money from the government to maintain themselves. Yeah. But they usually went to the farm to be with other drunkards. And it was very, very difficult to do anything there at the parks at that time. Anyway, so in this way you learn gradually. It's like a Sanghadhanivori, when you go out and distribute books, you start becoming a psychologist. As soon as they say something, and they say, this kind of person is that. Isn't it? Everybody who has done Sankirtan has become a psychologist at the same time. Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. The way they react and all. Yeah, so, like I remember, somebody instructed me at that time, I don't know who, maybe it has to do that. When somebody says, is a Buddhist, oh yeah, very good, very good. We are also Buddhists. So just that he takes it, so he takes the book, and not say, well, this is whatever it is, criticize. Like for example, yesterday was a new boy here. He who Akshara started speaking to him, and he all of a sudden he said, yeah, I read a book of, remember? Yeah.
Tagebuch eines Yogi.
Huh?
The autobiography of a yogi.
Yeah. It's famous. It's a famous book. I also read that before I came here.
Paramahamsa Yoga.
Yeah. Autobiography. So he didn't say, listen, say Mayavadi, don't read, no? Really? You read that book? Interesting. No? Have you read any book of Srila Prabhupada? We have a very nice book here for beginners. No, isn't it? It's just a question of knowing how to preach according to time, place, and circumstance. Any more questions? So, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Have a nice day in Krishna consciousness. Bienvenida.
Gracias.
Hare Krishna. You know her from Caracas?
No, we haven't met.
No? Eres tú.